Now, the world is facing multiple threats of a nuclear war. If one is coming from the Ukraine-Russia border, then the other is coming from North Korea. Pyongyang has fired missiles yet again, this time 2 long-range cruise missiles. The state media released the usual photo of leader Kim Jong-un overseeing the launch. The country claims that the missiles are capable of carrying nuclear weapons and have already been deployed to its army units. Pyongyang sees the test launch as a clear warning to its quote-unquote enemies. What Kim is hinting at are joint military drills by its rivals, South Korea and the United States. North Korea says the series of missiles are a test run to be prepared for an actual war. Just last month, Pyongyang revised its nuclear laws to allow preemptive strikes. Kim declared North Korea an irreversible nuclear power, which effectively ended the possibility of negotiations. The latest launch comes just 2 days after Pyongyang fired another set of missiles. They were called tactical nuclear drills and were claimed to be capable of taking out airports, military facilities across South Korea. It all started in September 2021, which was when analysts believe that North Korea had developed its first weapon with nuclear capability. The recent test confirms this, but it is still not clear if the country is capable of building warheads small enough for a cruise missile. These are a new addition to Kim's arsenal. Cruise missiles are much smaller weapons compared to ballistic missiles. They fly low, they're better at evading missile defenses. Given the country's secretive nature, experts don't know if these tests are worrying or not, simply because it's not clear what kind of warheads North Korea has in its arsenal. It is believed that its nuclear devices are far less powerful than propaganda suggests. But given the fog around it, it will also be wrong to turn a blind eye to the test fires. Now, for more on this, we're being joined by our correspondent, Chris Gilbert from Tokyo. Chris, thank you for joining us. What can you tell us of the latest strikes, with North Korea saying that they have, in fact, deployed missiles capable of carrying nukes? How do you assess the threat of a nuclear war now?
Well, Pyongyang is certainly making a lot of noise about the ability and sophistication of its weapons, how far they can fly, what they can do in the air, how they can hit their targets. And according to North Korean news, Kim Jong-un says 2 of the missiles it fired recently made a booming sound on impact, which rings as a warning to North Korea's perceived enemies. However, North Korean news is also reporting that that country is pursuing a nuclear program to deter attacks from aggressors on North Korea and not the other way around. And that may be in step with what defense experts here in Tokyo have been telling me, that other countries such as United States, India, Japan may be willing to tolerate missile tests as long as North Korea doesn't actually use these missiles on another country, and that North Korea may not want to actually attack another country because if it started a war, it would be significantly outgunned by these other countries. But for now, it is still more fireworks from Pyongyang, more missile tests, and all leading in speculation to a nuclear test by the end of this year.
Right. Now, we've discussed this earlier as well. North Korea has completely ruled out the possibility of talks on denuclearization. Is there any scope of negotiations? How do you see the situation unfolding in the region?
Well, I mean, every country is different in terms of how they deal with North Korea. South Korea, for instance, has recently changed its tack from walking a roadmap towards denuclearization to wanting to align with United States and Japan and really start to fight fire with fire. Canada, its foreign minister, is currently in Japan as well, and she is saying that Canada's foreign policy focus is now shifting more and more towards the Indo-Pacific to align with countries like Japan and South Korea, India and Australia. Many of these countries have been conducting naval drills in the region as well. And of course, enforcing sanctions on South Korea is always an option as well. So there's a lot of options available to many of these countries. They may but choose to continue to work together in the face of these missile tests, regardless of what happens going forward.
Right, absolutely. Now, also just for more clarity on this, you've touched on this, are we likely to see a response to North Korea's latest move? What sort of reaction, if any, can we expect?
Well, we've seen multiple reactions from countries already. We've seen bombing drills by South Korea and the United States. We've seen missile launches of their own. As I said earlier, there are sanctions. A lot hangs in the balance here of world events such as the Party Congress in China, the US midterm elections, as these individual countries try to make up their mind what they want to do and how they want to work multilaterally as well. Pyongyang has said it's concerned about a perceived Asian NATO forming around it. And regardless of whether or not that is specifically true, these ongoing missile tests and threats and saber-rattling from North Korea do seem to be an impetus for many countries to start working together in the face of regional security threats in the Pacific.
Right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for bringing us all the updates on this. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.